episode of Seireitei, a Bleach fandom community podcast brought to you today by Sosuke Aizen's Whodunit Dinner Party and Sleepover, an exciting new board game sure to bring you and your fellow squad members both smiles and spatters of blood this holiday season. Yeah, hello. We're starting off with a gosh darn bang. Hey everyone, my name's Del. And today for this extra special episode, I'm joined by Lethan.
Hey.
And Naomi.
Heya.
So, as we've decided we're going to do at the end of every season of the anime, this is our spoiler episode, which means that we're going to be talking about spoilers. So, like, straight up, here's your warning, everybody. If you do not want the anime spoiled, then you shouldn't listen to this episode, I suppose. And yeah, as we indicated previously on our first spoiler episode that we did after the end of the first season of the anime, because we want to be conscious of the fact that some folks might not have engaged with the final arc of the manga yet because that hasn't been animated yet. We're going to do our best to steer clear of spoilers for the final arc of the manga. However, throughout this episode, all spoilers for anything that has been animated up to now are completely on the table. So if you don't want the anime spoiled, turn back pendulum or just turn your feet around or your earbuds or whatever you like, because we're going to dive into some spoiler territory. So consider yourselves warned. From here on out, I think we're well in it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything also, yeah, hi, hello, anything anybody wants to say before we just like jump straight into our spoiler content?
Oh, I'm so ready to go.
I can't believe it's been a season.
Right?
My first episode was the last spoiler episode, and now we're here again doing another spoiler episode.
Oh,
like,
yeah! Happy anniversary!
Yay! It's gone so fast, I feel.
We've tried getting rid of her, but she won't leave us alone.
I'm like a boomerang, I keep coming back.
Oh.
I just had this terrible, there's nobody in Bleach who fights with a boomerang, right? Like, that's something else that I'm thinking about. There's some other animated something where somebody fights with a boomerang, right?
That'd be so cool. Could you imagine a Zanpakuto toe that like transformed into some kind of boomerang thing?
Right, like a returning weapon? Oh, man.
Like, I don't know.
I think
like
I'm thinking
Naomi,
of something else.
I don't think so, no.
Is there another anime where that's a thing? Where somebody
Probably.
Sokka! I'm thinking of Sokka from Avatar. Oh my gosh.
That's it.
Oh. It's like, I know it's a big important person. Wow.
Yeah.
Avatar's so great though. Isn't that such a great cartoon?
Yeah.
I
love it.
This is very good.
It's very ahead of its time.
Very much so. Well, that's not the show we're here to talk about today. Not yet. Maybe we'll do some other anime, I don't know, special episodes after we get through what's animated or something. But
Geisha is doing a crossover fan fiction right now between Avatar and Bleach. So there's a tiny segue, I guess.
There you go.
That's cool.
There you go.
I'll do it. Yeah. Okay, well, Lethan, you said you were super excited. So is there anything in particular that you're really stoked to talk about first?
Oh, man, there was so much that was happening and like so many things that we've got to come. And I know like you guys have got some of your own points as well, but I want to dive in with one of mine, and one of mine is tied to one of my absolute favorite characters, which is Rukia. I would like to just remind everybody or cast your minds back to that point in the anime where we saw when they were kids, and Rukia and Renji were so like they had such a good friendship growing up, and they were the only two that survived out of their friend group. But we did see a moment where Renji's trying to like put a spirit ball in his hand, and it's taking a lot of effort, and it's like really tiny when it appears. Meanwhile, Rukia's looked effortless and was really big, and it's just really like how much for me that relates to just how powerful she becomes later. And I get that like Renji goes on, it could be argued that Renji is quite powerful too, but I can't help but thinking like there's some people out there that Rukia is more powerful than just with her Shikai than like even if they've got a Bankai.
Yeah.
And I know that the power stuff in Bleach is like always up for debate, and it's so like there doesn't seem to be a proper, what do you call it, scale that follows all the way through, because you hear a lot of characters being talked about as they're really, really good, but we don't see them do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we see Rukia win some outstanding battles. We see her win more battles than some of the captains just with her Shikai. And the two that I'm thinking of off the top of my head is she takes down, is it Espada number 9, I think it was? She takes
Number
down
8,
number
Aranero.
8. There we
Oh,
go.
no, yeah.
Yeah, so she takes. And yes, it's argued that she didn't end up at the best at the end of that. That's fair. But remember, she did that with just a Shikai. Meanwhile, there were some captains that were struggling with their Bankai and help. You know, there were captains and lieutenants and everybody doubling up on some of the Espada. She took that one down by herself. And then she goes up
Right.
against Espada level 0 and manages to hold them off long enough for Ichigo to come. And
just
even
thinking-
he... Go for it.
Well, including Byakuya, by the way, who has to deign to team up with Kenpachi to take down Yami. I wonder if he know. I mean, he does know. I know that Rukia takes down Aranero eventually, but that's funny. I imagine Byakuya's hard-won pride was smarting just a little bit when he discovered that. Byakuya is also very quick to go Bankai. Like, once the series unveils his Bankai, I feel like Byakuya goes Bankai every 2 seconds.
There's a lot of people that just go Bankai, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's because it's just a better version of a Shikai. I mean, it's ultimately the same thing, it just does better, right?
Yeah. Weirdly, Ikaku goes Bankai a lot, I feel like.
For someone who needs to hide his Bankai, he does go,
I know!
yeah.
I mean, Ikaku's not the subtlest person I can think of, but really, dude?
Yes.
Oh
my god.
On the note of Byakuya, though, something that it occurs to me now is that I think while it's true that the straight up sheer power scale of Bleach is a little bit inconsistent, in the sense that yes, Rukia wins fights that sometimes people who hold a higher rank than her would struggle to win, but there's also an element that maybe it's just because of the kinds of fic that I like to read and write, or because I'm noticing these things this time through as I'm watching, but politics and hierarchy make a big difference as well. And so in the case of Rukia in particular, so in her current state, obviously that's a little bit messed up because Hogyoku shenanigans and her body literally can't do what it's supposed to do, and that sucks. But that aside, like, there's been a vacant lieutenant seat in Squad 13 for a hot minute, and she is well qualified. So my assumption is that, well, and I mean, there are parts where it's canon that I think that Byakuya spoke with Ukitake and was like, don't let her do this thing. And Ukitake was like, all right.
I think that is canon, yeah.
That is canon, but I think even moving forward, even past that, there are probably other instances where, like, we get to see it in the case of Squad 13 and Rukia, but there's probably politicking that goes on amidst all of these squads that keeps folks from who maybe, I'm like thinking about the way that Yamamoto runs things. If someone is too powerful, keeping them squished down a little bit could be in his best interest. Like, it's like the idea that Nanao is a lieutenant and is never allowed to fight, ostensibly, like, ever. That's weird. What's that about? There's a lot. So yes, there's power scale stuff, but there's politicking and there's strategy involved, and I think a lot of it is shadier than first meets the eye.
Yeah, I also don't think it's just Yama. I do think there's some other kind of government shenanigans going on behind the scenes. Like,
yeah, the only reason I wanted to bring it up is just because I've seen a lot of like top 10 most powerful Bleach character countdowns, or like top 10 captain countdowns, and this, that, and the next thing, and lieutenant countdowns and stuff. And Rukia's always like at the very bottom of these lists, and I think people are discounting her far too quickly for what she can actually do. Like, looking at the actual evidence of the battles that she's won compared to some of the others, not just, oh, so and so's meant to be really powerful. Well, we've not seen that. You know what I mean? We've seen her kick ass. We've never seen this other person kick ass. We've just heard that they're good.
exactly, yeah. And I think it also stems from the fact that when you go to the academy flashbacks of the four of them, Rukia is in a lower class than Renji, Momo, and Kira. They're in like the advanced class, and she's been placed in the lower class, which doesn't make sense when you consider that she can create the bigger spiritual pressure ball.
I just feel like that's some political Kuchiki bullshit. That's my instinct.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That, or it could just be that she's not the most literate. Like, because, like, you know, some people that are really good practically, they're really good with their hands, they're really good at making and doing things, but when it comes to writing essays or whatever, they're just shite. Like I'm very much one of those people, and I think that's
I
a reason why I
love
really
the
like Rukia.
implication that Renji can write a better essay than Rukia
Yeah.
can. Like,
Yeah.
I buy that in the
Just
case of
thinking the
Kira.
same thing.
I feel
I
like
could
Kira sits there
genuinely
just
see
writing
that.
purple prose virtuosos, bless him, but Renji, I don't know.
I mean, he's canonically bad at Kido. He's always blowing things up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But-
Rukia's good at Kido, so there must be another reason why she's at the bottom class. So whether it is political, or if her drawings are anything like her essays, you know. And then I'm also thinking about like the
cool.
things that she did for Ichigo, like the little, oh, you'll never be able to guess, like try and work this out, cryptogram things. Like I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Rukia, okay. It's like
Unless
a 5-year-old
it's a matter
did
of
it.
like self-confidence, like a self-confidence issue that translates into academic self-sabotage somehow. Maybe she doesn't feel like she's earned this place, and so she ends up not performing as well as she otherwise could. Something like that.
Maybe.
Makes me sad, but it seems like that's a real thing. That's a
I would
super
just
real thing.
Yeah.
love to see more of these flashbacks. Like I want to see more of Rukia and Renji at the academy. I want to see, you know, what it was like when they started trying to choose like what squad they went in and how does that process work, you know? Like I just
Yeah.
I know we've said it a million times before, but just the day-to-day mundane is interesting to us.
God, yes.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend yesterday about the 3 big animes and the filler ratios. We all know Bleach is the worst for fillers with 46%.
Is it worse than Naruto?
Yeah,
Really?
Naruto is only 40% and Bleach is 46%. However, with the anime final art getting animated, our percentage ratio will change and hopefully will be better. However, part of me doesn't want that because I do want more fillers of academy stuff and happy fun times and stuff.
Yeah,
So
I love
agree.
like a canon compliant light novel. That's what I'd like. That would be nice.
Yes, I would like more Turn Back the Pendulum, but written by Kubo. Just maybe it wasn't manga, but you know what I mean? Like, because obviously we know, without giving any spoilers, we know there's going to be bits happening that is kind of similar.
Oh yeah.
But I would like more filler like that came from Kubo himself, even if it wasn't in the manga, but he's the one giving this is what happened.
yeah.
I would love that.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah, that was one of my points. Sorry. I went off on a big tangent.
I literally asked for it. That's fine.
That wasn't even like a tangent. That was like a whole fucking tangerine, that one. Anyway. Unless we want to talk about real quick about the fact that, like, when all the lieutenants first meet, and I get that it's a setup piece, I just want to point it out, right? Because we made a big deal out of it when we were doing it with the podcast where we were chatting about, like, this place is so big, nobody really knows each other. And then that was completely discounted as we went on, where it was like, all the lieutenants are like, who's captain again? What's going on? And yet Aizen says that none of the captains would have been happy to see Renji dismissed, meaning that all the captains know who Renji is, so Renji must know who the captains are. And then Hinataro seems to know every captain and lieutenant of every squad and what all those squads do as well. So there are elements in there where they do all seem to know each other. I think it's just that the anime manga make it so that the audience is slowly learning things at the same time. I think that
would buy that because Squad 4 is responsible for cleaning up everybody's messes, both literally and when it comes to things like bodily harm. I wouldn't be surprised if most members of Squad 4, especially seated, like I could see Hinataro specifically having the dedication and the interest to learn people's names and to be aware of everybody as individuals. That seems like a very caring thing to do, and that just kind of seems like him to me. But I wouldn't be surprised. Like, well, I mean, I guess maybe it's because Unohana is a special case, but like, you want to tell me Unohana doesn't know everybody's goddamn name? No way do I believe for a second that she doesn't know everything that's happening. She does, right?
She knows what you did last Friday. You may not. She does.
I need to direct contact her because my memory is so fucking bad. I'm like, Unohana, what did I have for breakfast this morning? Oh, right, okay, thanks.
Fish cakes, Lethan. You had fish cakes and you didn't dream about them badly. You didn't inspire bad dreams. I love Isane. Side note, I know she hasn't done like anything in the anime that we've seen so far, but my god, she's so sweet. She's so
I love
sweet.
Asane.
I love Asane. I love Kione. I love the adopted families. Of course, I fucking love Kione. Like, huge surprise.
Yeah.
But she's, yeah, oh boy. Like, I'm always, it's like, oh, which Bleach character are you? Whatever. She's never on that list. I look at her. I look at, like, the way that she presents herself when she's enthusiastic about specific tasks with regard to specific individuals. And I also, we're both earth signs. There's like, realistically, that's, I hate to admit it, but I think that's me. Oops. Oh.
And also, you got to love the Michael Jackson gloves.
Oh, yeah, that's less me. I would do like, I don't know, steampunk fingerless gloves in an homage
even
to that.
better.
Maybe. Yeah, right.
Anything steampunk is a win.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so in that case, while we're speaking about captains and lieutenants and relationships and knowing names, I found, and maybe it's because, like I mentioned on our last regular episode of the podcast, I keep looking at Byakuya being like, where's your secret good heart? I know it's coming. Where are the counterexamples? How can you fight this? I've been finding myself watching Gin so closely this time and trying to find double meanings in fucking everything he says, being like, okay, to what extent are you seeking to advance your actual goal? Are you actively an agent of chaos sowing discord among the squads because that's fun to you in addition to wanting to thwart Aizen? I haven't watched back this closely since knowing the intentions of Gin and Aizen and even Tozen, really. And yeah, that's, I mean, I guess that's kind of it, but Tozen's a weird one.
Yeah, even more so because I was watching, I had to skip ahead for facts in a fic I was writing. And I had to watch a couple of the scenes where the flashback scenes with Gin and Gin's motivation. I was purely watching it for Aizen, but Gin's motivation would just happen to be in the same scene. And that reminded me of that because I'd completely forgotten it. Not the whole motivation, but the intricate parts of the motivation of why he was doing it and the whole relationship with Angiku. And so that's also made me watch him a lot carefully as well because I had skipped forward to watch those episodes.
On my second or third watch through Bleach, after I found out about Gin's background with Rangiku, I really started paying attention, and I'm really looking forward to the scenes that we've got coming up with Gin, especially when Rangiku's on screen as well, because there are things he says and there's things that he does that I'm just like, oh, you can see it right there, exactly where it's coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild because I think when it comes to Gin and Rangiku and the actions that they both take once all the Aizen stuff comes to a head, I think it's a really fascinating example of multiple people believing they are doing the right thing earnestly, but being at cross purposes anyway. Like the idea that Gin really, I think it is a stronger story if you believe that like these people really love each other and that Gin thinks he's doing the right thing and that Aizen thinks he's doing the right thing actually, which is something that I'm happy to talk about a bit later. And that Rangiku thinks that she's doing the right thing, and Kira and even Tozen. So all of these people are working towards what they consider to be some sort of like it's a goal worth pursuing. I truly don't think any of these people are motivated by anything other than like either love or a desire to do broad good somehow. And then there are just so many convoluted ways of going about that. So in Gin's case, it's like, yes, I have to hurt you. Yes, I have to play this long game. Yes, I have to be a sneaky ass snake, but it's worth it because I love you and Aizen should be thwarted and all this stuff. But there's still so much collateral damage, even though according to this argument, his intentions might be good. Like, love isn't always the answer, is I guess what I'm saying. Like, my cynical ass wants to be like, the love can be real and shit can still hit the fan in a really messy way. And just because the love is real doesn't mean that things are going to end well for everybody. So like that's it's like the reverse of an idyllic storyline, but I think it also requires one to buy into the idea that everybody is motivated by some sort of something other than evil. Not good necessarily, but something other than evil. I don't think Aizen's evil, actually.
I think that Rangiku is a great example of how loyal a lieutenant is to her captain.
Yeah.
Because of what she's about to do, that we see the
So is
decision that she
Kira,
makes.
by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think these are all fantastic, and Momo as well to a degree too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
God,
Like we've
I
got all these
know.
great examples of just how important that relationship between a lieutenant and a captain is, and how strong that bond is that they feel to that captain.
Yeah,
And
because
I'm very
I'm
excited
thinking,
to explore that more when these scenes all start happening.
yeah, I'm thinking about the captain lieutenant pairs that we have available, and I think that maybe it's about half and half, roughly. It can't be exactly half and half because 13, but oh, you know what? It is half and half because the 13th division doesn't have a goddamn lieutenant right now. Whatever. But so if you've got, it's probably not 6 and 6 equally, but you have like squad 3 where the captain and lieutenant might potentially be at cross purposes and might not be working towards the same thing. Same is true of squad 5. Same is true of squad 9. But then, so I guess there are not that many examples of like a we haven't, and even squad 6, like Byakuya and Renji end up at cross purposes eventually, of course. So you don't actually have a billion examples you can look to of captains and lieutenants who are on the same page. I feel like Shunsui and Nanao are largely on the same page. I feel like Sasuke would do fucking anything for Yamamoto, so like, all right, whatever. We've not gotten to see what Squad 2 is like, so I'm gonna let that be what it is for a second. We haven't really seen much of
blissful ignorance of Squad 2.
But I guess, yeah, ultimately, I feel like Soifon and Omaida are not working towards different goals. I don't think they get along all the time, but I think they're working towards the same goal. Squad 3 is a big old fucking mess. Squad 4, working towards the same goals, roughly. Squad 5, big old fucking mess. 6, cross purposes. 7, the most beautiful and perfect picture of loyalty you could ever ask for. My God, I love it. I love it. I love it. Squad 8, similar intentions. Squad 9, oops, big mess again. Squad 10, cross purposes but loyalty. 11, that lieutenant situation is so unique.
Yeah.
Squad 12 is a big fucking mess, and Squad 13 is empty. So that's actually, if all of those dynamics, you would think there would be more people who just are serving the same intention and get along well, but actually there are so many messy captain lieutenant relationships. A lot of them are not straightforward.
Yeah. So interesting. I love the relationships between a captain and lieutenant. I love that.
God, same.
So good.
I mean, this whole anime is just proof that bad decisions made with good intentions are still bad decisions.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep, we can end the podcast episode there. Thanks very much. That was like the perfect point. That's end of the episode. No, I'm joking. I feel like that's all of Bleach, isn't it?
Yep.
Shit communication.
Yeah.
It's like
terrible.
Bad communication, fan fiction.
No one communicates well.
And just don't be in a squad where your number is odd. Because 3, 5, 9.
11 gets off okay for the most part. I mean, that's a vibe, but
I mean, I'm really nervous over here in Squad 13 right now.
I feel great.
I mean, I called myself out at 5, so you know.
Squad 5 is, God. That's another. Wait, we get different captains in the Fullbringer arc, right? That's still anime.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, tight. Because I also want domestic fluff moments of Momo being a lieutenant because talk about a different experience. Holy shit. Oh my God. Because I know, Naomi, you and I have in common that we both really like Shinji.
Yeah.
And so the idea of Momo being used to Aizen as like, benevolent Megne-kun man with his like soft touch, and Shinji being like, what, go do the thing over there, and she's like, but I don't know. I haven't seen very many examples of just like that captain lieutenant relationship, and I really want it because I want to see Momo in that environment.
Yeah, it's just going to be so I think it'll be good for Momo, that's for sure.
So good for
They can
Momo.
just sit and drink tea and bond over the horrors of Aizen.
Right. Well, and not to mention, actually, because they're both approaching that from like complementary perspectives, where they're both used to dealing with Aizen in that respective capacity. And so, if Shinji's like, "Sosuke, I told you to do this one thing, and you did this other thing. Wait, what? Okay, whatever." Whereas he'd be like, "Oh, Momo, maybe we should go over here and consider this." And she's like, "Oh yeah, sure." And he's like, "I don't know. I haven't thought about it that way, but they're both rebounding from." from Lieutenant Aizen or Captain Aizen, respectively.
They are.
And Izuru just getting more hugs than he ever thought he would get from his captain, probably. Maybe not.
Probably.
Who
Probably.
becomes Izuru's captain again?
That would be Rose. I was just
Rose.
thinking about whether Rose is a hug man, and I was like, I don't know.
Rose-
I think Rose is affectionate, but in the way of like, let me just run my long fingers through your hair rather than actual hugs.
I'm pretty sure Rose uses Kira as his inspiration for his songs.
Probably his tragic muse.
Yeah.
We're just inventing so many headcanons right now. I love it.
No, I think that one's canon. I'm sure it is.
I think that one is canon, actually.
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
canon.
that's even better. That's even
I
better.
think so.
Holy shit. I forget stuff so easily that, like, for me, every single time I go back to revisit Bleach or the manga, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, this happened. Fuck.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many
Yeah.
times I've read or watched it.
Ugh, this is making me realize just how excited I am to finally get to the Vizards being on screen. I love them. I'm
Oh my
really
gosh.
excited for
Yeah.
those episodes. We have to wait a minute, but
We do. We have to wait so
really
long,
excited.
but it's fine.
We do.
So one of the things that I really noticed was the the aging thing. So, like, for example, we see Rukia and Renji in their flashback, they age up 10 years, and it genuinely looks like they've aged 10 years. Like, I think, you know, from, especially looking at Renji, you know, he grows really tall.
Mhm.
And
more tattoos.
Rukia, like, has become a bit more womanly looking. But then later, I'm like, doesn't, like, in Turn Back the Pendulum, isn't there like 20 years from Ishin going to the world of living, and Toshiro looks like he's aged about 5 years, if even. So I'm like, there's weird age, and then there's Hiyori as well. She looks like she's barely aged.
Hiyori just looks like a child always.
All the time.
I mean,
He looks
yeah.
very young.
He always
Yeah.
can be explained by the spiritual oppression guys that they've been in for the past 100 years.
That's true. That is very true. You're right.
Yeah.
No, this is going to come up in my headcanon, right? But so I'm only going to touch base on it very lightly because I really want to save it for my headcanon. There are two possible reasonings here. Number one, your the way that you age is directly tied in with your spiritual pressure and like how much you grow as a soul reaper. But again, that wouldn't really count for Toshiro, I don't think. Or number two, the one I think is most likely, but I would be touching, my evidence for it would be touching on a spoiler for Thousand Year Blood War, is that it is a choice. You can somewhat, to some degree, control your aging process. And I'm going to be bringing that up more probably when we go into the 1,000 Year Blood War. But yeah, I'm not going to say any more because I've got a headcanon for it.
Ooh. Do you think it, can you think of another example of somebody who you think has perhaps chosen to age in a specific way?
The only other thing I could think of would be Byakuya as well. But he does visibly age. But I think that, like, just because he gets called pretty boy and everything like that, that he retains a youthfulness to him because he wants to, you know, I mean, like, that just seems like it'd be so in character for him. But that's more, again, that's not really proven. The only one I've got the example of is really Toshiro, and it could be due to, like, Hyoremaru not being able to showcase his full potential because it needs to come out slowly because he is, like, it's such a powerful Zanbakuto, and it was something that Kuraku mentions when he's fighting Stark, where he says, is it Stark he's fighting, where he says,
Yeah.
Oh yes,
you know, in
I know
100
exactly which
years'
moment you're thinking
time,
of.
and I think it could be tied to Hyoremaru, to be honest. Like, it's such a powerful Zanbakuto that maybe it needs to go slower. Like, if his full power came out all in one go like anybody else's, like Ichigo's, that could just destroy Toshiro if he's not ready for it.
Right.
but my headcanon still wants it to be a choice. But I can't think of any other examples. The only other one, but I suppose I've got Ishin written down there, but because Ishin doesn't really visibly age, but again, he's an Agi guy.
Right.
So-
I think his facial hair changes just a little bit, which I think is also true for Urahara. I think, if I remember correctly, I think Urahara doesn't really have that like cute little stubble moment when he's back in Turn Back the Pendulum time.
Yeah.
And then when you see him as Shopkeeper Man, he has that little bit of scruff.
See, I'm thinking Ishin and I am seeing a difference, but I don't know if I'm seeing a difference because Bleach Brave Souls, the game, literally have just brought out past Ishin, along with the other two characters that are involved in that past. And you can definitely see the age difference in the game.
Is that in his soul form, or is that also in his Gigai? Because then that wouldn't explain Hiyori then.
That's in his soul form.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I still
I
think
don't know,
like Ishin's like character animation is so inconsistent. Like Geisha and I were laughing about it once. She dropped me a text where it was like Ishin in like his soul form was this big buff manly guy, and then like 2 seconds later you've got him stick thin in the background, poorly drawn, and it does
Oh.
not look like the same character at all. And we were just having a laugh at it, like, you know, what day did he take his steroids? Like- I would be called
Gosh,
that.
I've been trying to figure out the Hiyori thing for a minute. I mean, she's always looked young. I'm noticing for the first time that there are actually considerable parallels between her Zanpakuto. We haven't seen her Bankai, but her Shikai anyway, is not dissimilar to Renji's a little bit, in the sense that it sort of just it gets bigger and ends up having a sort of toothed blade kind of moment. There's also some, depending on which Zabimaru you're talking about, there's some snake imagery within both of them. Actually, because her surname Sarugaki has references to a monkey as well, which, depending on your Zabimaru. So, gosh, maybe, and the spiky hair. Maybe I'm just gonna spend the next little bit just finding parallels between Hiyori and Renji.
Well, I've got a question actually for Naomi, real quick. How much time lapses between his like Hisana leaving Rukia? Do we know in the world that, like, because obviously she leaves Rukia as a baby, so it'd be good to know the aging between that and Rukia when we meet her. I don't know if you've got a timeline for that.
I think they were with their friends in the Rukon for, I've got the number 80 years in my head, but I don't know if that's just the average life expectancy of a soul.
I have that number in my head too for some reason. I don't think that's actually additional evidence, but that doesn't seem incorrect to me.
Yeah. I think she was only with Renji for 10 years, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
So she's 150 at the start of the thing. And 50 years before that, she was studying. She was at the academy. So she's known Renji for 60 years. So she was alone for 150 takes 60. 90 years?
Yeah.
Can I do math?
That seems about right.
Yeah, okay.
I'm terrible at math. I failed my higher math, so don't judge me on my math.
No, that's right. That seems right in my head. And it also, like, thinking about how much we see Kenpachi and Yachiru change as well. Like,
Oh boy.
I think, like, aging wise, I think out of them all, the one that doesn't make sense the most in my head is Toshiro and Hiyori, but we have an answer potentially for her.
We have an answer in the case of Toshiro. Oh. Well, sure. So yeah, Hiyori looks young anyway and has a Gigai situation. And then I guess, yeah, without saying too much, I feel pretty satisfied by the answer that we receive later on down the road. I figured out how that works in my head. But we cannot talk about it.
Yeah. But if you also consider the fact that Hiyori hates Soul Reapers because of what happened, so she could have forcibly stopped. She could have taken that choice to not age anymore because it's reminding her of her past. It's reminding her of the soul and what happened. So she's taking that decision to not train, to not go towards Bankai, to not like improve herself anymore because she doesn't want to have to do anything to do it because she hates everything.
Oh yeah, dude. So she's out. She's fucking out.
So we're putting it in our heads then that it's a choice at the moment.
I think so, especially considering if she's hanging out in the world of the living kind of indefinitely, she's just going to chill in a Gigai, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, that's fine. That ties in with my headcanon later. I'm very excited to
Oh, good.
I mean, it's fucking ridiculous, but it's great.
So, side note, remember that time Hiyori was in the 12th division? LOL.
I am so excited for Turn Back the Pendulum.
I know, me too.
I wish
Hiyori has
that
been a
had...
hot topic for me lately. I've really started to love her a little bit more, and my headcanons and backstory, at least for Hiyori and Shinji, because they go hand in hand.
I would
just
love to
through the
trade
roof.
backstories about Shinji sometime. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Shinji
I want a lot more of that Turn Back the Pendulum. Like, see if that had been a whole season on its own, I'd have been happy with that.
God, same.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember it finishing and me being like, "Wait, what?
Yeah!
We're going back to what already?" Especially because like I was not pleased that we were doing a flashback because it was like right as I was like, "Oh, Kyoriku's about to fight. Let's go." And then it was like, "And pause. We're going to do something else." And I went, "What?" And then when we swung forward again, I was also like, "What?" And so it's a very fabulous little mini arc sandwiched between like the beginning and the escalation of one of my favorite fights because of course I'm going to like it if Kyoriku fights. Of course I fucking am. Ugh.
I really enjoyed looking out for all the moments where Cayenne was mentioned but not outright. Like the little nudges that I picked up this time around that I never picked up at all. Like Byakuya when he's in the world living room. World living room, fuck's sake, Dan.
Living room.
Leave me alone. It's been a long day. It's been a long day.
Either a foyer or a salon. There are no in between options.
When he was in the world
too long.
of the living, end of sentence. When he came back to get Rukia, and he says he does look a lot like him. It's just really good to see that seed planted so early, especially because like there were times in the manga where I felt like the manga didn't make reference to the fact that like Ishin ends up being a Soul Reaper later. You know what I mean? Like the very first panel of the manga, pretty much the first couple of pages is like Ishin in the same room as Rukia, and he doesn't acknowledge her at all. Like there's not even like a shock. There's no moment. There's just like Ichigo's like there's a samurai person or whatever in my living room in my living room. I don't know why I'm convinced like that's a thing.
That's it always.
Yeah. In the bedroom, and he just like doesn't even bat an eyelid. And it could be that he's just that good of an actor, but I feel like if a Soul Reaper turned up, there would at least be a double take of his head or something.
Unless Ishin sensed her first and was able to go into the room prepared.
Maybe. But it was just good
or
to get
unless
that.
Urahara reached out. Honestly, that's not impossible.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, there's probably something else that's going down that we can't exactly mention because final arc stuff. But
yes, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, I think it was just good to see these other moments, these pockets where there is that nod to Ichigo, like, or at least to Cayenne existing, and yeah.
I think it's been nice to watch these episodes knowing in advance that Cayenne and Ichigo are similar in a lot of ways. And so I think there are small, very subtly nuanced references that Byakuya has made, that even Ukitake has made, like wordlessly staring at Ichigo on the bridge. And I've just really enjoyed going back and seeing those and being able to see those subtle parallels for what they were in ways that I never could have the first few times I was watching. And like, to be fair, I have written about this to some extent because Squad 13 reppin', and that's what I do. But I liked being able to like really take that in and acknowledge it in ways that I wasn't expecting. Like in particular, the moment when Byakuya and Rukia are leaving for Soul Society from the world of the living. I like seeing the way that those things are layered in and peppered in. It's very clever storytelling, and the fact that I'm still this compelled during one of my many rewatches really speaks to that quality, I think.
I think I'm excited to see us learning more about Cayenne, because obviously those flashback episodes with Rukia and her time with Cayenne is like some of my favorite Rukia content.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Obviously, any excuse really to see more of Rukia where she's not being a damsel in distress, roll eyes, is something that I'm really looking to, like, I really want to see. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is.
And
Yeah,
and
go
just
for
to
it,
get
Emma.
those answers, as you say, Ukitake and Byakuya have all made references to Ichigo, and we don't know why. So it'll be nice to, if anything, to see if anything comes of it, really.
To see
Yeah.
his face again, you know what I mean, and see if we
Yeah,
can see what he
exactly.
looks like compared to Ichigo.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got that whole symbolism of, at least in the manga, of Ukitake seeing the reflection of Ichigo in his eye.
Yeah,
Yep,
and that
yep,
really
and
makes him
That's in the anime
stall.
too. Yep.
And like Cayenne's face in the panel above, just his smile. So you know there's
Yeah.
a connection there, and it's very interesting as to why this random dude with orange hair, it looks like Ukitake's previous lieutenant. So
Yeah. It's also sort of nice then to know, because it would be really easy on a first watch if you see, Ukitake, this captain that you've just met in this episode, or maybe the episode previously. He's a new face anyway, and he's reacting so strongly to this sudden presence. But it's nice that it's not just like, oh my gosh, you're the shonen hero and your power is overwhelming. Like, I guess that's true, but Ukitake is about 2,000 years old. He's seen powerful people come and go and live and die. And so being able to understand that what he's reacting to is in fact the result of an emotional experience he's having, rather than because he's like wowed by Ichigo's spiritual pressure or something,
yeah,
it makes a lot more sense. And even too, like, Byakuya is pretty unshakable. And so again, he's not like, oh boy, I'm overwhelmed by the shonen hero. It's like, oh no, you're making me feel things. Oops, shooting that down because I'm Byakuya fucking Kuchiki. Not gonna do the feelings thing. Not right now. Yeah, Byakuya really. Byakuya doesn't do well when he encounters people for the first time who look like other people from his past. That's a real weak spot for him.
Yeah, because thinking about freaking Yoroichi as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's just straight up. God, I love her. She's so freaking cool.
She's great.
And the fact that we have two people in that same episode who both are like, oh, Byakuya, what's up? And like are super casual, are super chill, are not giving him the respect that we've come to expect. Like, oh God, Byakuya Bo. Beautiful. Yeah, I never thought before about just the parallel imagery, because maybe it's because we just watched this episode, but when Ukitake stops Byakuya on the bridge and just like rolls up behind him and is like, oh, yada yada, I don't think so, pal. That that image from Turn Back the Pendulum when baby Byakuya is absolutely fuming, and then you also have that image of Ukitake behind him being like, hey, calm down, child, a little bit. So you get the sense, I mean, not that anybody first watching would know in the bridge episode, but by the time you get to Turn Back the Pendulum, it's like, oh no, this is an established relationship. This is a thing. This is a bit. Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to circle back around to, so to speak, is a piece of imagery, that Ganju uses when he's sort of helping Ichigo create that ball of spiritual energy so they can then use Kukaku's dope ass cannon to penetrate the Seki Seki. I mentioned this when we were actually digging into this episode, but the phrasing that Ganju uses is, in order to make this work, and he says that this works for all Kido, like full stop, drawing a circle in your heart as dark and heavy as possible is a good way into harnessing that kind of energy. And that is just so hollowy. It's wild. And so like, I think it makes sense that allowed Ichigo to tap into that, because as we know, Ichigo's got some hollow power shenanigans going on. Which, by the way, I was also thinking about the part where Ichigo takes that big like flying device and soars to the bridge, and I was like, oh, you're soaring through the air with something that looks like a bat wing, are you? Yep. Maybe that'll come back to bite you later. I don't know, man. One of my top 5 fights. Love that fight. But
so good.
Right? So, yeah. So I guess I was then thinking about whether there are parallels between aptitude for Kido and hollow powers, or like whether both Arankar and Visored are naturally suited towards specific kinds of Kido because they have access to that kind of whole drawing or imagery, or it's like there aren't many canonical Kido Masters, but 2 of them are Urahara and Aizen, and those are 2 people that fuck with the intersection between Hollow and Shinigami. And then I was like, okay, oh wow, are there like any the only visored, or I guess for all we know, there could be an Arrancar who could like achieve whatever the equivalent rank of Kido Master is, because that's a Soul Society ranking system. But the only individual who has both hollow powers and the rank of Kido Master is Hachi, and Hachi was a Kido Master before he was hollified, so I don't think that actually means anything. But I was just trying to draw parallels all over the place. And I want to keep an eye on it as we move forward, because that imagery is just so strong.
But where does Ganju get his information from? Like, he's not officially a Soul Reaper. He never went to the academy. Yeah, okay, they use Kido to do their fireworks and their flower crane cannons and all that, but how different is that to the Kido that they get taught in the academy? Is this like Wukong guy Kido?
So Kido is just like the manipulation of energy flow, broadly speaking, which is why you can use it for both destruction and healing. Like, for example, Ukitake is a Kido Master, and my personal headcanon, not that I was not, this isn't a headcanon I was going to share later, but like, so bonus headcanon is that one of the reasons we don't see him fight with Kido so much is because his specialty is healing Kido, which makes a lot of sense given his background and his personal experiences with his own body, right? So anyway, manipulation of energy. But I think, so there's a bit, like way back at the top of the second season, episode 23, Kukaku expresses that she knows Urahara, and when Yoruichi approaches and says, oh, hey, can you help me out? I mean, sure, helping Soul Reapers isn't something that Kukaku and Ganju are like super stoked about doing, but Kukaku says that if Urahara is involved, she can't refuse. So knowing that Urahara is a Kido Master, I wonder, I mean, for all we know, Urahara helped I don't know what the connection is, but Kukaku and Ganju know Urahara, and Urahara sure as hell knows his way around Kido. So who knows where Ganju picked that up? Oh my god, and Urahara knows his way around hollow shit. So maybe there was just a brief moment where Ganju overheard something useful. I don't know. It's all just speculation at this point.
I mean, we all know cute Ganju, little child Ganju, just pops up at the most inopportune times. So who knows where he could have been listening in? A lot of people like to listen into things that they shouldn't listen into and get dragged into stuff that ends up changing their lives.
Yeah, and, you know, in fact, that's how Ganju found out that Ichigo was struggling. Wasn't he like listening outside the door and was like, "Ugh, okay, fine, I will help you."
Definitely does seem to be a trait of his, doesn't it? But I love that. I love that imagery of the drawing a circle in your heart as dark and as heavy as possible. I wonder if that's really strong foreshadowing.
Yeah, I think the only other thing is I wonder, it sort of made me wonder whether the intersection of Shinigami powers and hollow powers was basically inevitable. Urahara and Aizen, both in their own way, advanced that inevitability. But like, I don't know, man, Vasto Lorde can just happen on their own, so
I don't know, is it a bit of a stretch to also link it towards Orihime and, I'm gonna say his name wrong, Ulquiorra?
Oh my god, maybe!
With the whole heart and the little bit that they have.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And now I'm totally just going off about this now. But so Kaien, to bring that back, Kaien, who we know is Kukaku and Ganju's brother, has that whole bit with Rukia where he's like, "Where is your heart? It's here. It's in between us. It's created between two people or whatever." And Kaien met his end taking on a rough, dismantled, awful, hollow form, and maybe it's because he had that access to like emotional tapping in when it comes to things like the heart. I think Kaien was good at Kido as well. I'll have to double check that, but I think Kaien was pretty good at Kido.
I think they keep talking about like Kido Masters and Kido Experts, like they're really rare things, but they seem to be every fucking character.
Yeah.
They are. A
master is really rare.
Yeah, there's only
like master is there are 12 canonical Kido Masters.
Yeah.
Because is Momo one, or is she just an expert?
Momo's an expert.
Just an expert.
Okay.
No, the captains who are master. I'd have to pull up a list, but off the top of my head, I know Ukitake's one, Unohana's one, Yamamoto's one. Shinsui's only an expert.
I've got it here.
Oh, you
I've
have?
pulled it up.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. I know Haki wasn't a captain. Tessai's a master. Urahara was a captain, I guess, so he's also a master. This is actually kind of fun. I'm not going to pull it up now. I'm just going to see who I miss.
Yeah, you name them.
I've listed. I feel like fucking new captain Shusuke Amagai is an expert, but I don't count him.
He's a master.
That's what I meant. I meant master. Yeah. Well, fuck that guy. Is Makone also a master?
Yeah.
He just oh, okay, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, those are the two non-canonical ones, and then you got 1, 2, 3. Only got 9 canonical masters.
We got 9? Shit. Okay. All right. Okay. So squad 1 I got covered because Saskibe's not one. Squad 2, nope. Squad 3, no. Squad 4, only Unohana, I believe. Squad 5, Aizen, obviously. 6, Byakuya, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Renji, big kidding. Obviously.
I actually was like, wait a minute.
He's just a practitioner.
Ishin is one, isn't he?
Yeah, Ishin's one.
Yeah. Okay. So that's 6, 7 is nope. 8 is nope. 9, I believe, is also nope. 10 is 10 is 10. Oh.
Wait a minute, is Toshiro an expert or?
He's just an expert.
Okay.
He's not a master.
11 is a joke and a half. 12, I don't believe so. 13 is Ukitake. Oh my god!
You can talk about 12 Urahara.
Oh my god! I forgot about Urahara. I think of him. I was thinking about Mayuri. Yes. 12 is Urahara. Okay, am I missing? So then I've got to be missing somebody who's not affiliated with a squad because I know I already said Tessai. Who am I missing?
Think someone who also heals, but not in the general sense of the Soul Society.
What?
Hanatoro.
Nishida.
Look, I helped.
It's not Hanatoro, is it? That's not right.
Hanatoro is not even. Oh, bless him. He's only a practitioner. Hanatoro is on the same level
In my
as
head
Renji.
canon, he is.
Oh, wait, it's not. Is it someone connected with Squad 4?
No.
You're gonna have to give us a hint now.
I'm gonna kick myself when I hear. I know.
Is it? Oh, wait. Is it a visored?
No.
I said Hachi already.
Yeah, I've already said Hachi.
Hachi.
Not a visored.
Master. Oh my gosh.
But you're thinking. But you're thinking in the same realm as the visoreds.
What?
If you think that everything's got a different plane of realm, you got the Soul Society, and you got.
So it's someone else from the world of the living.
Uh-huh.
Oh god. What?
Somebody who heals in the world of the living.
Oh, but I know it's. I already said Ishin.
Yeah. Oh, did you say? I thought you hadn't said Ishin. My bad.
Oh yeah.
So if we said them all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Well, damn.
Did you say all 9 then?
There you go, well done.
Aizen, Byakuya, Ishin, Tessai, Ukitake, Unohana, Urahara, Hachi, Genryosai.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
That was fun. Sorry, that was probably. Thanks for sticking with us.
That just became a thing. That was good fun. I bet you a lot of the listeners were joining in with that.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. Give us if you joined in, if you had fun with that. Leave some comments. Let us know how you did. How many canonical Kido Masters you were able to guess.
Yeah,
it's a fun game. I've played a version of that game with myself and others multiple times because it's just fun. And you know what? And mostly because everyone is surprised that Ukitake is a Kido Master because he never uses Kido. But
it really bugs me, the lack of how much we see from Ukitake. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
It bugs me.
Really? I don't mind.
I could hear the sarcasm crawling across our connections there.
Dripping like blood from my mouth. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I get it. He is, I've literally written most of an essay about how I haven't posted it anywhere. Maybe one day I will. For his birthday, which is coming up, lol. I mean, by the time this airs, it will have passed, but even so, about how his primary function in Bleach is to exist in relation to other characters and to boost other characters up. Like, he is a support individual, both emotionally and in terms of like how the cast shakes out. So like, I'm not confused. I totally get it. That said, I feel like there are other side characters who get a similar amount of screen time who get to do more dope stuff. But say la vie, and now there's very little fanfic I can write that contradicts canon. So silver linings. Let's move on to our Shinigami Cup Peroxide Edition, which, if this is the first spoiler episode y'all are tuning into, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We have 3 different awards than usual because this is a spoiler episode. It's extra special. We get to talk about different stuff. So we will have the best forecasted, in which we discuss which moment of foreshadowing interested or excited us the most. We will have the Flower Crane head canon, supplied to us by none other than Kukaku Shiba herself, expert in all canons, head or otherwise, wherein each of us will share a head canon. And then Premonitions in the Rain, which asks, now that we've rewatched some of the anime, which memorable moments are we excited about watching in the upcoming season? So, with that having been said, best forecasted. What moment of foreshadowing really pulled at you this time, everybody?
Okay, so mine goes back to a couple of episodes ago when we first had the Renji Ichigo fight. And there was the whole symbolism between Renji howling at the stars, howling at the moon, depending on which translations, which ties into a future episode with Byakuya, who says the same. And it all just links in with the fight between Byakuya, Renji, getting Bankai, finding out Zabimaru, and the whole symbolisms between the howling at the stars and the moons and Bankais. That's my foreshadowing. I'm excited because I want to know what Byakuya says, and if it is going to leave this huge big plot hole with what was said previously and the differences between the anime and the manga, and if it catches up with itself, and if the anime has shot themselves in the foot with it, because they do that a lot.
Yeah, they do. And we'll be right here to point that right out to you all.
Yeah.
Yes.
My best forecasted moment is Unohana's examination of Aizen's body, because I feel I feel like she knew. I feel like there was part of her.
Really?
I feel like there was part of her that was dubious, and so like she was really thorough, because she got the sense that something wasn't quite right. And so that was like a moment for me that I was like, oh, this was like our first big thing as an audience to watch. That was like her indication that something was off.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she still said that he passed away instead of murdered.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, wow. Huh. Oh gosh, I realized I never circled back around to my whole like I don't think Aizen is evil thing. But this is actually more fuel for that fire, as far as I can tell. And I'm gonna save my thoughts about just why for the episode when he like ascends into the sky and all that, because I think it's gonna be more. Or maybe actually, I'm going to save it for our next spoiler episode. So stay tuned. Stay very, very tuned. Because I think there are moments of context I'm going to want to drop. But I think going into it now wouldn't be as exciting as going into it at the end of our next spoiler episode. So I'll hold on to that.
Way to drop a cliffhanger, standing on the end of the
yes,
Sogyoku cliff.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Very good. Oh. Twinned punishment of needing to be patient and probably wanting to punch me in the face for saying I don't think Aizen is evil. Well,
yeah,
we'll see how that all shakes out. Anyway, my best forecasted moment. It's sort of like retroactive, but I just had so much fun over the course of this season watching the way that Yoruichi spoke about herself in cat form, and just watching all of her game playing, because I haven't like sat down and watched Bleach properly since like knowing that Yoruichi is Yoruichi and stuff. She is just having a fucking ball, dude. Like, she is powerful, she is badass, she is like fucking around with gender, and she's just pulling people's strings right and left, and it was just so much fun to watch before she ever revealed her humanoid, I suppose, form. Yeah, nothing to do with what's coming up about that, not really, but I thoroughly enjoyed that.
So who is the real puppet master here? Aizen, Uehara, or Yuichi?
Ooh.
Pop your views down in the comments below.
Yeah,
I was
please
my answer had to do with the final arc spoiler. I was like, oh no, there's imagery I can't reference. But if you anyway, oh gosh,
one day,
yeah, one of these days. Oh my god, I don't know if anybody knows what I'm even vaguely referring to, but shit, seeing that animated is going to make me weep tears of blood.
There's so much stuff I'm looking forward to seeing animated.
God.
Anyway,
I am going to cry. Yeah, it's gonna be wild. Well, shall we move on to the Flower Crane headcanons?
Please.
Yeah. So mine actually goes back. We spoke a little bit about in this episode about the relationship between Momo, Aizen, and then the Momo Shinji rebounding moments. And my headcanon is literally just how deep Aizen's manipulation of Momo goes. Not only with the manipulation of his Zampak toe and the hallucinations he can bring on with that, but also maybe the fact that there's a mental kind of psychological manipulation going on as well. She looks up to him. She's all about him. There's probably a little bit of...
But he's not evil, remember?
No, he's not. Of course not. No, this is just...
He's working towards a goal that he considers evil. I really don't.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm winding you up. I couldn't help myself.
It's fine. So yeah, it's literally just how deep that manipulation goes, and how far, and how it could possibly answer everything about Momo as to why she did everything that she did later, like all those bad decisions that she made, all of the denial that she was living in, is because that manipulation from Aizen just runs so deep.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that. My Flower Crane headcanon, very short, but I love this headcanon, and nobody's going to take it away from me. Toshiro remains young looking to avoid his lieutenant dragging him out for drinks. like he wants to get his paperwork done, and she just annoys him so much, so he just remains young looking so that she's not dragging him out for drinks all the time.
I guess we've never really established whether there's a drinking age in Soul Society.
That's true.
I feel like there's not.
I mean, if everyone looks 15, then yeah, don't think they're gonna...
No.
But more just to avoid his lieutenant in general, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. Mine is really fluffy and really silly, and I've never been able to shake it since it first occurred to me. It's about Ukitake. Now that he's made his appearance, I feel like I'm okay to talk about him just a little bit more. So we see in that flashback scene, like in the ending credits, when he and Kyoraku are in the academy together, and he's got his short haircut, and then of course when we see him now, he's got that very long, lovely, majestic white hair. So my headcanon, I have a lot of headcanons about his family situation and his relationship with his parents and his many canonical siblings and things. But I think of them as just being this lovely domestic group of happy people. Like I love the idea of a happy home life for like my faves and player characters that I come up with in RPGs and stuff. It's like one of my favorite things. So I like to think, especially considering he's the eldest and like went through some challenges when he was a child and stuff. I like to think that maybe his mom like cut his hair as he was growing up, and like that was a regular thing. And like she probably cut all the siblings' hair, but like his hair is special and white and stuff for reasons. But I like to think that when he got to the academy, which he was probably very excited about, it just like didn't occur to him to go and get haircuts. He was like, I'm really excited about this class. I'm really excited about all of my new friends. I'm really excited about this training. Wow, I'm really good at keto. This is awesome. And then he like came home for winter break or whatever the equivalent is at the academy. And his mom was like, Jushiro, your hair's gotten long. And he was like, oh, yeah, kinda. By this time, I imagine it's like maybe to his shoulders, kind of, because he just like it didn't occur to him to seek out a barber or something. And so the reason his hair is so long is because he like kept forgetting to get haircuts while he was at the academy. And then Shunsui, who of course he meets at the academy, they become best friends. At some point, was like, "Oh, it looks kind of nice like that." And Jushiro was like, "Oh, really?" And so he just kept it. And then I also think that possibly Shunsui was like, "I'm gonna try," because it's always pulled curly. Shunsui's hair is really long. So I like the idea that he was like, "Oh, this is a cool thing that we're both doing. Oh, how nice." And Ukitake is like, all right, man, I'm not going to tell you no. And so that's why they both have very long hair in my head and my heart.
I
so
love this.
cute.
This is like a whole fan fiction on its own. I loved.
Yeah.
It was like a verbal fanfic. I loved that. That was great.
Love them. I love them both. On that note, premonitions in the rain. What are we looking forward to?
I'm most looking forward to the scene between Ichigo and Renji in the underground training center when Ichigo's training for Bankai and Renji comes in to also train for Bankai, and it's at that moment where they both realize they're fighting for the same thing, which is Rukia.
Oh.
Yeah. And
that will be good for me to see again as well, actually, because I like that's there's pockets where my memories just went blank, and that's one of them. And that whole underground training sequence.
Did you
like
say that you have memories of nobody?
Yeah.
Oh, that was bad. I loved it.
That was great. That was great.
You're welcome. It's just me, your dad.
We're here every 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. My premonition
identify as neither of those genders. Sorry, go on. Oh my God.
Oh, so sorry. That's true. Yes, my premonition in the rain is I would like to say some sort of deep mythological based, like really well thought out, really exciting upcoming thing based on stuff we've spoken about and analysed, but it's not. It's really not. It's just a scene of Ichigo saving Rukia, because like that scene where he comes in and he just like obliterates all the lieutenants and nobody's expecting it of him. And I get that he's a little bit overpowered, it could be argued, but like that to the clash of sword with Byakuya, like that whole montage is just so epic and so good, and I'm just really looking forward to seeing it again.
It is pretty epic. I mean, it wouldn't be a shonen without moments like that, you know? You kind of need that.
I mean, that, and it was a very close tie to second with, like, Rangiku stopping Gin's blade to save Momo for Toshiro. That's another big moment that I'm looking forward to watching.
That's very badass when she does that. That is so cool.
That's my girl.
I'm realizing as I'm looking through everything I'm going to talk about from here on out, including fandom shoutouts, it's just like me appreciating Ukitake hours. So whatever, deal with that. The thing I'm looking forward to, even though I've gone back and watched this multiple times, I'm obviously looking forward to Kyoraku and Ukitake versus Yamamoto. I think it's just a lovely moment. You get to learn a lot. You get to see a lot. It's cool. And then I'm really interested, especially because I know I'll be able to speak about it with other people with critical eyes and hypotheses. I'm sort of very interested in tracking Ukitake's whole moment with the Shihoin shield, because I've wondered about that. I've read the manga chapters about that. It's a strange moment. It's odd that he's the choice. He's a Kido master, so maybe he has access to powers that the other people don't. So I have specific thoughts about what is going on with the Shihoin shield and the Sokyoku and stuff. But I'm looking forward to like distilling that and unpacking that again with other people. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not intelligent enough to have even thought about that the first few times I've watched Bleach, so I'm really now excited to go through and
No,
watch that
okay.
all with you all.
The only reason I'm fixated on it is because it's like it's an Ukitake moment, and so when I've just been like unpacking parts of his character for fic and stuff, I was like, oh, what's the relationship? But is there something between Ukitake
Yeah.
and the Shihoin family that there are a lot of potential options there. And I realized because we can do anime spoilers, so like Yoruichi Shihoin, so tracking Ukitake and Yoruichi and what relationships between various both like noble houses and then just like broadly speaking noble families within the Soul Society could be. So I have thoughts. I would love to hear more thoughts.
I'm excited to chat about that. Yeah
dude. Sweet. So what remains, I suppose, is our fandom shout out moment. Turn back the fandulum, where each of us gets to share like a cool moment from fan works and fan experiences past, from any time that we were involved in the Bleach fandom community. Something cool, something formative, something lovely, something that helped us really feel compelled to stay in this lovely community.
Yeah, so mine links to my headcanon, and it's literally probably my whole reason for my protection of Momo, my love for Shinji, and just everything that makes me me. I just love Shinji, really. But it's a fic, and I'm going to put it out there. It is not a fic for the faint of hearted. It has got an M rating, and that definitely read the tags for this fic. But it's called Rising in Harmony, and it's by Sticky Whiskers on AO3, and it literally just delves into delves delves into what I was saying with my headcanon about how deep the mental manipulation goes and everything, and then follows up with some nice fluffy moments of Shinji and Momo just kind of rebounding on it.
Oh,
so yeah.
Aww,
but read the tags, not for the faint of hearted, M-rated. Go for it. But yeah,
very cool.
I'm definitely going to need to go and check this one out because I absolutely did not read the last fan fiction that you read.
No,
that
definitely
you posted,
not.
Naomi. I did not read it. I did not get hooked on it. That's not a thing that anybody can.
Nothing but my DMs. No.
No, I absolutely did not start spamming you. No, that didn't happen. So I'm afraid to click on that link. Actually, my turn back the turn back the fandulum?
Turn back the fandulum.
Okay, everybody, sit down in your seats, get comfortable for this one because this is a fan fiction that is actually renowned as being one of the best Bleach fan fictions, and that's not just my words. That is like the words of the community. It's one of the best and most read fan fictions on AO3 for Bleach. It is hilarious. It is a Bleach and Harry Potter crossover by the name of
I know
There
exactly
May
what
Be
this
Some
is.
Collateral Damage.
Oh boy.
Have either of you two read this yet or heard of it?
I think
Not read it.
heard
No,
of it.
it's not the kind of thing I usually am drawn towards.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So I went looking. I was asking around in a few of the forums. I was like, "What is like the funniest?" Like, I just needed. I think I'd read something really dark and depressing action. And I was like, I just need something funny. And somebody linked me to this fan fiction. And the great thing is about having a memory as shit as mine is that I can reread this every year and still find it like read it brand new because it's like I've forgotten everything. But it is the funniest thing that I have ever read. Like out of any fan fiction across any fandom I've ever read, any books, any piece of literature, this is the funniest thing that had me laughing out loud. And it is basically, how would you describe it? The summary is Ichigo's been ordered to go undercover at a magic school to bodyguard a kid named Harry Potter, and this would be fine, except that he's about as good at bodyguarding as he is at magic, and he considers it a good day magic wise if he hasn't set anything on fire. That's the premise of the fan fiction. Now, normally when you get like crack fanfics like this are usually very poorly written. This one is not. It is very well written. It's really funny. It keeps all the characters in character. Ichigo is still technically Japanese. Like there's so much happening in this fan fiction. It is like 61,000 words long, 3 chapters.
Oh my
It is hysterical. It's so funny. Like, even from the first chapter, you'll be absolutely laughing out loud. So the author note is, I wrote this mostly because despite the surprising number of Bleach Harry Potter fanfics out there, none of them seem to address the fact that sending Ichigo to Hogwarts is basically the same as swinging a wrecking ball directly into the side of the castle. So here's an entire
They're not
fic
wrong.
about that. And it's so good, where, like, you get moments where Ichigo sort of reveals himself but doesn't, because there's laws and rules, and most of this came about because of the loss of a bet. It's so fun. It's honestly,
Oh.
it is so good. It's so good. And if you need a laugh, if you've had a really rubbish year and you need something to lift your spirits, this is one of the funniest fan fictions to read. So I'm going to be posting that in the chat.
Yeah. Mine is not a fan work. It's just like a cool community memory that ended up changing my relationship to the Bleach cosplay community specifically, but like for the better in ways that I never could have anticipated. It's just like a super simple thing where online Bleach fandom going back and forth. I was posting fic on Tumblr and on AO3 and stuff, and I made a few online friends. Great. Ended up connecting with somebody who was a really big fan of Byakuya. And so this person and I occasionally would like do some RP online, Byakuya and Ukitake stuff, and it was just really nice and really fun. And we got to be good friends, just virtually. And this person was and is, as far as I know, a British person. I was living in on the East Coast of America at the time, and figured out this was my last year of undergrad, and then I was going off to do my master's in the UK the following year, and I told them, I was like, "Yo, I'm coming to the UK. We should totally meet up and hang out." And they were like, "Yes, great." And like obviously always, if you're going to meet online friends IRL for the first time, like be safe, do it in a public place. If anyone has concerns about that ever, then like find me on Discord and DM me, I guess. But so I felt safe. We'd established that we were going to meet at a con in Birmingham. And initially we were like, okay, so we're going to go and hang out and do Bleach stuff.
Were you going to meet in Birmingham? Down in Birmingham?
we were going to meet in Birmingham. We took the bus to get there. Did not do that. Oh God, one of these days I'll bust out my Welsh accent for everyone's gonna cry because it's terrible. Yeah, I don't know if that was good at all. Probably not.
I mean, it's hard to say because I don't really think many of my accents are very good either, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, but yes, we met up in Birmingham, which I say like that because I'm American. At least I don't say Birmingham.
Oh, that's true. That is very true.
Yeah. That's the one in Alabama. Anyway, we were like, oh, we could just meet up, broadly speaking, and just kind of chill. And they were like, I would love to cosplay Byakuya, but I don't look anything like him. And I was like, oh man, I would love to cosplay Ukitake, but I don't look anything like him, and I'm way too short and all this stuff. And we went back and forth a little bit, and then we're like, okay, sure. But what if we just said fuck it? What if we just said we are not great choices to cosplay these characters, but we met up in cosplay anyway? And so we did. And it was very nice. And this person was lovely. And we had a great time. And we hung out a couple of times after that con when I was still in the UK. And it was just really nice. And I would never have cosplayed Ukitake without this person's encouragement. And now, not that cons were a thing in 2020, which is like the correct choice. A gathering of that many people is like not safe in the era of COVID. Totally get it. But we can all still mourn for the things that we weren't able to have this year. So when cons come back, I think it'll be a cause for celebration for a lot of people. But I've gone to several cons since then, mostly American cons, because that's where I am now. And I've cosplayed Ukitake every single time except for once. And the one time I didn't, I was like, oh, something just felt a little bit not quite right about this weekend. And so cosplaying Ukitake has like brought me joy and brought me friends and like helped me understand that even though it's really easy to say, oh, sure, cosplay whoever you want, I didn't buy into that really for myself until I had encouragement from someone else. And so just in terms of like body stuff and confidence and actually saying, you know what, I'm going to be who I am and do what I love. Like this experience was a big part of that, both with regard to like cosplay and like personal identities and stuff. And so that was really nice. So shout out to my lovely friend. If you're listening, I know you know who you are. Yeah. So cosplay whoever you want for real, actually, because if I can be barely 5'5" and cosplay Ukitake, you too can cosplay anyone you want, even if you don't think it's gonna be quote unquote right. So that was nice.
I love the like being able to cosplay any character's height that you want, regardless of their height, regardless of their gender, regardless of. I actually like when people take a character and mix it up. Like if you take a
Yeah.
character and make them steampunk, or you take a character and you flip their gender, or like just you take the character and you do something with them. I actually cosplayed Yukio at my first ever con that I went
Oh,
to.
cool.
It was great. I had a black Game Boy Advance sitting there, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I could, I absolutely
Perfect.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to do like I did straight. I've never gender bent Ukitake. I have done a version of him from the final arc that made everyone be like, "Oh my god, no, you did that!" And I went, "Yes, I did." Just one time. Also in Birmingham, a year later. I think I could be wrong about that, but anyway, it was definitely in Birmingham, regardless. Or maybe it was Manchester. You know what? It's all the north, innit? But
we're the north.
Not. I know.
I was gonna say, wait, no, that's the south.
They pretend to be the north, but they don't know what the north really is.
The north remembers.
I went to school in Bristol, so it's all the north from there now, isn't it? But even so, everyone's gonna murder me. I'm so sorry, everyone who's listening. You're all please come for me for that because I deserve it. We should move on. Yes.
But yeah, cosplay whoever you want. Cosplay whoever you want.
Yeah, real.
It's even more fun that way.
It is. So, yeah, I guess, does anybody, we're kind of approaching the end of this second spoiler episode ever. So does anybody else have anything to say before we wrap up?
No.
Sweet. Wow, man. Okay. Well, you wonderful souls. That's the end of another episode. That's also the end of our podcast episodes that are going to be dropping for 2020. So thank you for sticking with us through this year. We really appreciate that a lot. If you all liked what you heard and you want to get involved, you can find us by searching for TheSeireitei on Facebook, Tumblr, and Instagram, and TheSeireitei on Twitter. Each of these platforms will, as you may or may not know by now, link you to our fantastically deadly Discord family, where you can chat with us about the show, read fanfiction, take part in creative challenges, and talk anything and everything Bleach. Now, Ichigo and Rukia might reap souls, but we are hoping to reap some 5-star reviews, and that's where you come in. Make like our favorite orange-haired protector and Ichigo to iTunes. Best joke anyone has ever written. To rate us, review us, and make us feel like number one. And to those of you listening on YouTube, don't forget to be like Chad and give us that good thumbs up. We really appreciate it. So yeah. Thank you so much for tuning into this extra special spoiler episode. And as we mentioned at the end of our last regular episode, we're going to be taking a little holiday break until about mid-January. And then after that, we'll be swinging that pendulum forward again and continuing our watch through of the Bleach anime, picking up with episodes 42, Yoruichi, Goddess of Flash Dances, 43, The Despicable Shinigami, and 44, Ishida Ultimate Power. We'll see you souls then. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.